If you have not played Journey before, please be aware that I'm going to be discussing aspects of the entire game. The game's multiplayer is alive and well in the Steam version, and it's an experience you don't want to miss. I'm sure I don't have to tell anyone how incredible this game is. Just searching for it on YouTube will let you know just how much this game means to people. Since every other video has already sung the game's praises, I'm going to try my best to keep focused on the post-game of Journey, and how it makes you, the player, a key part of the story it tells. But before we see what part you play in the story, we have to understand how it's constructed. The game tells the infallible tale of the hero's journey, albeit a simplified version. For those unfamiliar, the hero's journey is a series of steps that helps writers make grand and captivating stories. It's likely been used to help create many of your favorites: Star Wars, Harry Potter, and Lord of the Rings, to name a few. Most of these stories enrich their plots with details from every part of it, but Journey takes a minimalistic approach, taking only what it needs from the formula, in a slightly different order. If we look at the soundtrack titles, it actually paints a pretty clear picture of what steps were adapted into the game's levels. Today we're going to see how it uses these select parts of the hero's journey to make one of the most resonant games ever released. We start with the call, usually named the call to adventure. It's the part in the hero's journey where we establish that the hero wants something, and what that something is. This desire is something that's established within the first minute of the game. Simply by how dominantly it's framed in the game's title screen, we know exactly what our goal is. The mountain is ever present and will be your guide for the majority of the road ahead. The first level sets the stage for the normal world. It gives you an understanding of how this place operates. The cloth is your friend and gives you a scarf that gives you the power to fly. These little symbols can give you a longer scarf. Boom, done. Shortly after, we have a confluence with the ancestor. This is the character who takes the role of the mentor from the hero's journey, the one who guides the hero and reassures them that the path is, although treacherous, still possible to walk. At the end of each level lies a confluence like this one, where they will teach you more about the world that came before and give you a sense of direction. The next level further sets the stage, getting you more acquainted with the world around you. You free some imprisoned cloth friends, and they help you build a bridge. After the confluence, you cross the threshold from the ordinary world that we've seen so far into the special world. This is the part where things begin to differ from the simple and gentle place you've been introduced to. This is truly where the adventure begins. The desert gives you a feeling of freedom and openness thanks to the sheer size of it. If it weren't for the mountain in the distance, getting lost here would be all too easy. The contrast of the first two linear levels shifting into more exploratory gameplay emphasizes that things are different here. It's almost daunting. After freeing these good boys, climbing this ominous temple, and freeing even more cloth dogs, we're ushered to the next stage. This blast of a level marks the beginning of the Road of Trials, the part of the story where the hero has to face tests of their ability, usually discovering what they're capable of in the process. In Journey's case, it's a thrilling slide down hills of glittering sands. The music picks up the pace as you race through the steep slopes. You fly through the backside of a waterfall of sand, and take a small break before you fly up and careen down the sands once again. Hearing the wind rush past, narrowly squeezing through archways and just getting lost in the excitement turns into a bit of pause when the music eases up a bit. A cave dims the beaming sun for just a moment before... Sorry about the tangent, but I'm gonna have to talk about this scene for a minute. The lighting that causes the sand to become an ocean of glimmering gold, the way the music just lets you peer into the head of your character. I love the detail of the ramp that just launches you up to the top of the mountain silhouette. The framing just perfectly conveys how on top of the world your character feels. Like, I'm right there, this'll be easy. There's almost a bit of arrogance to it. It all comes together to create one of the most beautiful scenes in the entire medium. One that lasts just long enough before the intensity picks up once more. This slope even steeper than those before. The hero too caught up in the moment to notice until it's too late. You plummet into the depths below, where neither the mountain or even the sun meets your eyes. It's here that you learn of the avarice and destruction your ancestors were capable of. The power of the cloth unearthing the darkness inside them. A dark part of history that punctuates a dark part of your journey. This begins the next step, Temptations, where the hero laments their mistakes. This is the calm before the approaching storm. Just like their ancestors, the hero let their temptations get the best of them, only instead of power, it was their longing for the mountain that put them here in the depths. The warm colors you've grown used to now fade to a cold and ephemeral blue. Right at the start, a helpful little cloth dog finds you, a spark of hope in these untrodden depths. It serves as your guide through this hopefully brief detour below the surface. It joyfully leads the way with its curious little grumbles, switching its attention to all manner of things. The beauty of this place has been stripped away. You're in the belly of the beast now. The only way out is through, and so you press on, hopefully with your scarf intact. Finally, you see a way out. Just a simple slide and it's over, but it's going to be close. After a wave of relief, you arrive at the tower, and the next step, Atonement. The hero's atonement for blind ambition that led them astray, not unlike those that came before. This is the step in the hero's journey where the hero humbles themselves and learns from their mistakes. Where before you were thrown off course, falling down, here you recompose yourself, reflecting on how you got here. You spiral ever upward, finally getting back on track. As you reach the top, the mountain is now within sight once more. This final confluence brings with it a dark prophecy, and as you head into the crossing, the next step, you'll find out why. This is the point where the hero's mettle is tested, to prove that they are worthy of what they desire. When you step into this final stretch toward the mountain, it's as if the land itself is actively against you. You're forced to push forward, through whipping wind and blinding blizzards on this brutal climb. The cold is intense enough to drain the energy from your scarf, forcing you to stick close with your buddy for scraps of energy and warmth. You take a brief respite, basking in the final shred of comfort and safety left on offer, only for these sentinels to take it away. Having to deal with both them and the wind ups the tension more than ever. Once you make it through a few more obstacles, the peak lies just ahead. Through this archway are the last steps you'll take until your goal. You can see it right there. All that remains is to trudge your way up an incline, a simple task made impossible by the frigid, relentless wind. Perhaps you take some time to refocus with your friend, or yourself if you're alone. Maybe you simply forge ahead without a second thought. Inevitably, though, you must take the first step. The wind is a much greater threat than anything you've faced so far. Every blast of chilling wind rips away at you and your scarf. It is rapidly stripped from your neck, piece by piece, until in a matter of moments, it's gone. There's nothing left to help you now. The only thing keeping you going forward is your determination, and the cold's eating away at that too. The sight of the mountain being so close instills just enough hope for you to push through this torment. But it too leaves you, the snowstorm swallowing it whole. You are left with nothing. No sight, no sound, no hope. Nothing. From the darkest depths to the literal top of the world, you made it. You're free. Free to bound across the mountaintop to your heart's content. A well-earned victory lap after all the trials you've endured. The beautiful sights and sounds all funnel you up through an archway, where you make your final ascent, soaring unbound through the air. Your feet touch ground, and you're here. This is where you say your final goodbyes to your companion, and thank them for making the trek with you. Until solemnly, you walk ceremoniously into the center of the mountain, completing your journey. A beacon of light soars back to where it all began. Your ears rewarded with the most beautiful song the game has to offer. In a touching moment, the lovely names of the people you've been traveling with are finally revealed. While the rolling credits mark the end of your first playthrough, it doesn't mean the end of what the game has to offer. In fact, some of the game's most profound moments still lie ahead. Though your journey has ended, another's is just beginning. What part will you play in theirs? When playing the game, you may have stumbled upon some people with more intricate patterns than you. As you begin to walk the sands for the second time, you'll notice your clothes have gotten a design upgrade, much like the ones you saw on others. The more times you play, the more complex the pattern gets. This simple feature will form the very dynamic between players because of its tie to game experience. Adding to this, there are also the esteemed white robes, which you unlock by finding all those little symbols that give you a longer scarf. This showy outfit regenerates your scarf while you're on the ground, and gives you a little extra material to start with as well. Those wearing the outfit bear resemblance to the ancestor. What's funny is the players who've unlocked it know the locations of all the symbols, so they naturally act how they look, like mentors. White robe players dance in the air above you, flying from symbol to symbol, giving you insight into where some of the trickier ones might be hiding. When you're paired with a white robe, or just a player who's played a lot, you feel as if you're being guided. When you find someone less decorated than you, you're inclined to show them whatever knowledge you've gained from others. It forms an organic cycle of learning and teaching that reinforces the sense of community the game has. The game also takes measures to ensure the fiddly nature of online play never gets in the way of that sense of community. It's incredible how seamlessly other players sort of fade into your world from off-screen, but how they leave impresses me just as much. In most games, a player quitting or disconnecting is usually handled by them just popping out of existence and having a status message appear. This would have probably led to a moment of disappointment and detracted from the game, but here's what happens instead. When you're invested and in the middle of a playthrough, there are so many ways to interpret this depending on the context. For example, I've had people disconnect right before the final climb. It felt like my friend had given up, or been lost to the snow. It made me feel like I needed to plant my heels and make it to the top for both of us, even if that meant making the climb alone. That just could have been, alright, see ya, bud. But instead of taking away from the experience, it actually added to it. Little dynamic things like this make every playthrough feel personal and unique. Who you'll meet, how much they know compared to you, and how long they stay all play a role in setting the tone for that particular playthrough. There was one time someone stayed with me from the very start until the very peak of the mountain. It was the first time I'd ever completed the game with only one other person the whole way through. When we got to the top, they paced in a circle around me, over and over again. I thought they were just doing a funny little celebration, but then I looked down at the sand and I saw that they were drawing a heart around my character. Man, for a random person to spend the whole game with me and then to do something so nice, completely unprompted by the game itself, it was a moment I'll never forget. I hurried up and I tried to make a heart of my own, but it just looked like crap. Eventually, we walked into the mountaintop, and after the credits, there was only the one name on the screen. I made a habit of passing on the gesture from then on. I'm far from the first or last person to bump into someone nice enough to do that, but man, it made my day, and it made me love the game even more than I already did. As your knowledge of the game grows, and you meet travelers of all different temperaments and experience levels, you'll take on the role of those who've taught you the ins and outs of the game. You'll don the white robes and help others get a step closer to earning their own, or help someone new make their first trek. Your place in the story evolves into more of a supporting role, a facilitator who ensures the other person gets the most out of this run to the mountaintop. The progression almost feels similar to growing older. Your time in the spotlight's over. You've experienced all this before, but you still find the satisfaction in helping others tread the path you've already worn down. You also get a different perspective on scenes like the moment before Nadir. Here, you almost feel a sense of guilt, even though you know what lies on the other side of the tragedy is well worth it. I mean, you're literally leading someone to their death. No other game I've played evoked that feeling before. It's something completely unique to Journey. A fun new dynamic opens up when you stumble upon another white robe. It allows both of you to really let loose with the power the robes offer, without the guilt of having to leave your red-robed companion in the dust. The fun becomes testing the limits of the robe's power, and even the rules of the game at times. Like here, where I found out if you fly over the sentinels, you just skip the chase entirely.
That was crazy. I didn't know that could happen. That's actually so sick. The lights didn't even activate. Whoa!
One time, another white robe and I tried to climb the entire tower without raising the water level at all. Every jump was high enough to risk losing a big chunk of progress every time. A few times, either they'd fall or I would, but we'd always join back up to remake the climb together. We huddled together to replenish our scarves mid-flight for extra distance, and each platform we reached felt like a milestone. We risked the game disconnecting us if we drifted too far apart, so the tension kept building all the way to the top. We were a few jumps away from our goal when, on one of the final jumps, my friend ran out of energy and went plummeting down somewhere I couldn't see. I sat there for a while not knowing if they made it, but sure enough, they managed to make it back up to where I could see them. I jumped down with them and together we made it to the very top. The relief when we finally made it was immense. What an incredible feeling, to discover something new in a game where I thought I'd seen everything. And it wasn't something I just read online somewhere either. Another person in the game, without a single word, was able to convince me to not autopilot into raising the water, and showed me a way that we could bend the rules of the game together. This was the defining moment for me, the one that would stick in my head for over 11 years until I'd finally share it in this video. Just like the other story, I'm sure many others did the same thing many times before and after us. But in that moment, it was an experience that was unique to only me and another person I'll never speak to. This is what makes Journey so special to me. It successfully breaks through the barriers of distance, language, and even toxicity to give its players an absolutely wholesome and joyfully unique experience. One that no other game in the medium, not even ones made by the same studio, has ever come close to after all this time. I believe repeated playthroughs are intended as part of the core experience. This additional layer of player growth the game offers feels like an extension of the story itself. Speaking of which, there's another step of the hero's journey that's not represented in the game itself. The very last step. You won't even find it in the soundtrack titles. It is the return with the elixir. This final step is the hero's triumphant return to the ordinary world. The elixir in this case serves as a boon of some sort, some kind of reward to those they share it with, and this completes their journey. At the end of the story, the hero does return, but the game just sort of starts over. Besides the beautiful music and the cool duds, there's not much of a tangible reward the hero can share. But the elixir is there, if you look hard enough. And it's not the hero who receives the elixir, but you. Journey is a game about life. Its ups, its downs, the people you meet along the way, but also how your perspective shifts over time. You start as someone full of wonder, discovering all there is to know about the world. You begin dedicating your time to learning the ins and outs of it, until eventually you become the master, someone to give knowledge into those who are still learning. Through a few simplistic mechanics, the post-game of Journey doesn't just teach, but lets you experience the lesson that life is about growing, understanding, and sharing that understanding with others. That is the elixir. Journey is one of the greatest experiences I've ever had with a game, and I made this video because I had to share it. If nothing else, I hope this video convinces at least one person to jump into the game and discover what it has to offer them. I want to truly thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. It means so much to know that you enjoyed my little video. I hope you stick around for the next one I make. Have a good one.